to do this little project for BiShvat, you need a plastic pot, the biodegradable pot.
We're making this video to put it up on YouTube, so everyone can watch the video and they could do. It's essentially we're making a tutorial video, so you guys can make it anytime by watching YouTube.
My next thing. So not everyone may have gotten the supplies. The last time I was at the battle center, there were still a lot there. So there's possible some locations you have it, or if you are at your family home, you may not have accessed it. So you can still follow along like we usually do, because chances are you're going to be wanting to do some planting at some point soon as spring comes. Because it will be almost time to start getting your seeds ready for the winter if you're starting from seeds. So you can still follow along. However, this is not just a program about planting. It's a program about the Jewish holiday, which started last night and tonight at sundown, and that is BiShvat. So I will, as we're doing some of our activity, we will talk about that holiday briefly, and then we'll go into the actual planting part. So because of that, that means you can also do whatever you want in terms of a craft. You can draw. If you have the package that went out, there's coloring pages, word searches, you can do some of that things. But as we were talking, you can pretty much do whatever you want during this time to celebrate.
You could start it in any container, really. So one thing I do want to address is poke a couple holes in any container, just so you could drain the water out. You don't want to let the water sit in the soil for too long.
Yes. So if you guys notice, we have these ones which actually get wet, so the moisture will naturally come out. But the plastic pot we're putting it in has holes at the bottom, and that is why you will also have a tray, which I actually didn't pull out, so give me 1 second. So you will have a plastic tray to sit it on. So your water has a place to sit when it drains out, and then you can always just empty that if it's too much. Okay,
Jenny, I'd just like to suggest it's still better to open the couple holes into those biodegradable pots. Yeah,
there we go. See, this is why he's here.
Yes,
because he knows how to correct me.
Yeah, the reason is because you want to let not only the water but the roots to also come out of the soil and then into the bigger pot, right? So you want at least maybe 2 or 3 holes in it.
Excellent, thank you. So the first part that I want to actually get to you guys is to do with this plastic container. So the whole idea that I was thinking is that you guys can decorate. So I have an example of one I worked on. Okay, so I have, because we're in Rena's 50th and I have to promote it any chance I get, I have my little 50th logo that I drew on here, 50 years of inclusion with Rena, although
that's cool.
Washed off.
That's some cool stuff, Jenny.
Thank you. And then because it's BiShvat, I put a little tree with the holiday on it. And then, as you guys will see, because you have your Rena stickers, there's a couple reasons why. One, all about the branding. Gotta get the Rena sticker on there. Nice. But the other reason why is because as these start to sprout, those who are at locations will be transplanting these seedlings that we're growing into a bigger pot. So by marking these pots, we know which seedlings they were. And we know that it's part of this project, so we know what we're transplanting over in case, even if you label it, it can use the label. There's a lot of people at different locations. A lot of things can happen. So if we put it in this pot with this thing on it, we know that this is the one we did for this craft today, and we can easily transplant it over into the bigger containers that are going to be at locations. All right? So that's cool. So with that said, for those of you who want to go and start decorating this, you can use Sharpie. Sharpie actually works the best in all the things I use. You can use paint. You can use whatever materials you want. And you can start decorating your plastic pot, okay? And if not, you can just go and you can start putting your stickers on as I go. And I'm going to start talking about the holiday briefly.
Yeah, that's cool.
And as I said, for those who don't have any of your pots, you can just follow along. Or if you want, start doing a, drawing for the holiday. You can draw your own tree because that's what we're celebrating. It's the birthday of the trees, right? So those, if you want, you can go off and start doing that. And then I'm going to start talking about the holiday. So share the video about the holiday. And then as we get into the gardening, we can go into more questions and topics about our gardening experiences. Okay?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So let me share our screen. Okay. And as I said, as you're watching this, if you want to start decorating your pot, feel free. Okay, and you can also
Yep,
take that
yep.
time to make those 3 holes in the bottom of the biodegradable pot.
To start things off, I'm going to ask you a bit of a strange question. Imagine a world where we celebrated everyone's birthday on the same day. Every year, let's say, on October 18th, because that's my birthday. It was National Birthday Day, and everyone threw parties, and it was super fun, and there were no birthday celebrations for the whole rest of the year. Woohoo! It sounds like something out of a creepy dystopian novel, right? Like 1984 or Brave New World. No one is an individual, independence is suppressed, everyone is just a cog in the greater machine of society. We wouldn't want to do that, right? Well then, why do we do that for fruit? Let me explain. See, most of us are used to thinking of Tu BiShvat as a day to celebrate trees or nature overall. We eat Israeli figs and dates, we make fancy salads, or meditate on the mystical symbolism of trees and fruit at a Tu BiShvat Seder. But originally, this holiday was just the designated day for the birth of fruits, and was used to calculate taxes. There's a biblical law called Meiser, or tithes, which is like a religious tax on produce. If I own a fruit tree, every year I total up how much fruit grew, and then I set aside a percentage of it to give away. Now, determining how much I owe each year should be simple. If my fruit grew before Rosh Hashanah back in 5777, I include it in last year's total. And if it grew after Rosh Hashanah in 5778, I include it in this year's total. And yet, that's not how we do it. Instead of using the date a fruit actually grew, we pretend that all of the fruit shares a birthday, the most recent Tu BiShvat. We count everything before Tu BiShvat as being part of last year's total, and everything after Tu BiShvat as being part of next year's total. It seems really odd. Why are all the trees sharing a birthday? And what's so special about this particular date, Tu BiShvat, that it's somehow more important than Rosh Hashanah? Why can't we just decide when a fruit grew based on, I don't know, when it actually grew? Is there any special meaning or significance to Tu BiShvat? Or is it just an arbitrary date that relates to tax law? So the truth is, the date really is logical and significant. Bear with me. Here's the logic the Talmud offers us. In Israel, the rainy season mostly ends right before Tu BiShvat. That means that by Tu BiShvat, the soil is wet, and the trees have everything they need to eat and grow strong in the coming year. So basically, Tu BiShvat marks the day that the nourishment the trees need in order to bear fruit is in place. So, it's like instead of celebrating the day your mother gave birth to you, let's celebrate the day the local pharmacy got restocked with prenatal vitamins. Happy Folic Acid Day, everyone! But remember, it's essentially tax law, so maybe the key to understanding this strange birthday lies in a deeper understanding of religious taxes. Yay, taxes! See, when I pay tax to the US government, it's almost like a business arrangement. I expect paved roads, safe neighborhoods, protected freedoms, a justice system. You get the point. When I pay tax to God, though, it's not because I expect something back. I give Meiser because God is the creator of my fruit, my trees, my land, everything. And so it all actually belongs to him. So when he tells me to give Meiser, he can do that because the produce is really just his anyway. The truth is, though, that if I had an orchard where I grew fruit trees, I might not find it so easy to remember that it's really God's orchard, and I'm just his steward. I mean, I probably paid for the land with money that I worked hard for. I put a lot of effort into planting the trees and tending to them, and spent hours climbing up and down ladders in the heat of the sun to gather my fruit. I know everyone in all the orange juice commercials looks blissfully happy picking fruit as if it's as relaxing as getting a massage, but I'm pretty sure that there's hard labor involved. If I'm putting in all that effort, subconsciously, I probably believe that I'm the master of my orchard. I'm the guy that gets it done. And when tax season rolls around, maybe I start thinking, I don't want to give my hard-earned produce away. I earned it. I worked for it. And I don't really want to be told what to do with it. But something busts this illusion. Rain. Rain is the one part of the growth of my trees I have absolutely no control over. Despite all the other things I can do for my trees, the nourishment that rain provides is just completely out of my hands. Rain is the ultimate reminder that no matter what I think I can do, in the end, I always come back to relying on God. So when a new fruit comes in the day after Rosh Hashanah, we don't look at it as a newborn, a happy gift of the new year. We look at who's ultimately responsible for this fruit. This fruit is here not only because of my hard work. It's here primarily because of God and the rain He blessed us with. And when did that rain fall? Last year, in the rainy season, before BiShvat. BiShvat is the day when God's role in the growth of the trees is most clear. The day the trees have gotten all their nutritious, God-given rain. The day comes around and it hits you. You can't pretend you made it all happen by yourself. And so, of course, you humbly and gratefully go and take care of your miser. This BiShvat, as you try to bite into some dried buxer, or perhaps more deliciously, some dates or figs, take a minute to think about where it all comes from. Remind yourself that fruits don't actually grow inside plastic packaging in supermarkets, and wine doesn't just materialize on the shelves of liquor stores. They're all gifts of the land, lovingly nourished by God. And even the figurative fruits of our labor, our personal successes and accomplishments, and our collective achievements as a community, they all come back to God. Tap into that today. Embrace it. Maybe think about how you're going to pay it forward. Who might benefit from a little miser? As you lean back and savor your fruit today, let the gratitude wash over you. Happy birthday. To the trees. You guys knew what I meant.
You know, the whole thing about this holiday is that it talks about how we have to appreciate everything that happened from the year before, right? Because everything to make those fruits grow and to come and be like, so we can take them off the tree. It all happened before in the previous year. But funny enough, we are actually going to be preparing our seedlings for the coming year. So when you go and celebrate next year's BiShvat, when you go and eat these leafy greens, if you still have some available, store it away, or some other produce that you guys grow as part of the Green Up project, you'll be able to say you worked towards this and all of the things that went into that. Okay, so as mentioned, to make your to do your planting activity, you're going to need your biodegradable pots, your plastic pots, your tray that your pot's going to sit on. You know, we need the nourishment for those seeds we're going to put in, so we need some soil. Okay, and you have your stickers so we can mark the pot. And what is the most important thing we need if we're going to do seedlings? Anyone know?
Water.
We need the seeds. So I'm going to try and get you guys a close-up of these. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see these. They're very, very tiny. Okay, yep. And so we don't need that many. Okay, I think it's like 3 or 4 or 5 that we should put in.
3 or 4 is probably good. Okay. All right. So first, everyone fill up your soil. Maybe leave ½ an inch left on the top.
So does that look good?
Yep.
Yeah.
That looks good.
Okay.
Then you want to gently pat it down. Yep. Great. Now you want to choose your seeds, whatever seed that you think will grow the best. They're all it's all random seeds, leafy greens. So choose
should we randomly pick ones that look the same in this?
Yeah, try to choose a variety of it so you don't get all the same leafy greens. And I gave everyone extra, so in case it doesn't come out, you could always replant it again.
Seeds here. And we only need 4?
Yes. And it's okay if you can't separate it or if you put more than 4. Try to put them in the corners of the little pots so they could all separate from each other. Yep. So gently place them first. Yep. And then once it's placed, yeah, you could use your finger, maybe a pinky is good enough. Push down a bit, maybe, yeah, like ½ an inch into the soil. Yep, just like that. And then you want to cover it up with the surrounding soil so you could bury it and leave it in the darkness.
So should we add more soil at all?
You could add soil, or you could just gently cover it up with the soil around it. But yeah, that would be easier. So the reason why we have to cover the seeds is because in order for the seeds to emerge out of the seed and out of the soil, they have to be in the darkness. So roughly 2 to 3 days, and you should see the seeds come out of the soil. So try to leave it in the dark until the plantling comes out of the pot.
It looks like it's basically the tablet is like a blanket for the seeds.
Yeah, it's kind of like a blanket.
And they're taking like a nap.
And why do we want to keep it in the dark?
They don't emerge out unless it's called germination. And in order for it to germinate the seed, you have to leave it in the darkness.
Oh.
Yeah. So like in the natural world, when let's say a basil, you're growing basil outdoors, and it flowers at the end of the season, and it naturally produces the seed, and it drops into the soil. They're often covered by debris, soil, branches, and whatnot, and snow. Once it comes around spring and summer, and it gets warmer, and the seed is wet enough and is in the darkness, and then it will naturally germinate in the soil, and then that's how the plants keep coming back. So we're just doing this to help it germinate right now.
Okay. So to put it into the bigger pot, what should we do?
So do you want to put it in now, or like once it germinates?
I think we could probably just have it sitting in there. I was thinking because if they water it, this way we'll protect it from leaking.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
this is probably like their plastic
For
filter.
So let's say it did germinate and the holes are in the bottom. What you want to do is, once the roots started coming out of the bottom, that's when you know you could transplant it into the bigger pot that you decorated.
Okay.
Yeah. So Jenny, let's say it did come out of the roots came out of the pots. So you want to put that pot into the bigger pot.
Yep.
And then you'll have a bunch of gaps in the corners, right?
Yes.
You kind of want to fill it up so everything is covered up, just enough so the plantlings, the little seedlings that come out, are above the surface. You want to cover everything except the plant.
So for now, because it's in this smaller pot, should we put any soil in this now, or should we just store it in here for now?
Actually, yes, you can. Let's put in about an inch or two of
Okay, so just put it
soil
down
in
the sides.
bottom.
What would happen if you water too much and you didn't put holes in it?
Yeah. So
would
first,
you-
and then
What would happen to the seeds and plants if you didn't put a hole in the bottom?
the roots will just continuously grow in the biodegradable pots. They might suffer from lack of oxygen in the soil. But because you've put the holes in, the roots will naturally come out of those tiny holes. And-
If you water it too much, can it get something like mildew or anything?
Possibly, but it's highly unlikely. So how you want to water is every 2 to 3 days you should water. Give it enough so it's moist on the top. Another good way to notice if it's drying out is the surface of the soil is getting drier. Stick your finger in. If it's dry to like an inch of your pinky, then you know you should be watering it.
So for those who have the arena soil, because it was outside in the winter, it was frozen, and it had all the moisture had froze. You might find that it's very, very moist right now. So,
So it probably doesn't need water to start with.
yeah.
I did not know that.
Okay. So I filled up my sides, but I didn't put any more in here so that the
Yes.
seeds have us able to sprout.
Yep.
Okay, you guys can see that. So I just put it. I pulled my thing aside and just put soil down the bottom to the bottom, and have put a little bit at the bottom.
That's cool. Hey Jay, your hands are massive dirt.
You know what? It's okay. I'm okay with feeling the dirt. You know, I'm connected with nature. You know, enjoying all of those things that are in there.
I just don't like getting my hands dirty.
Well, you can also wear gloves. There's gardening gloves.
You can wear gardening gloves or.
You can also use a spoon.
Yes, you could use a spoon. I don't have a spoon near me. But I am one of those people, if you guys have done any art with me, you know I like getting my hands dirty because there's something about being able to touch the material you're working with. You know, you're able to connect with it more.
I actually did a hub garden before, Jenny.
Yes.
And I also did gardening with shore ash.
Alright, so there is our pot with our seeds. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 right at the like a kind of like a perpendicular from each other.
Yes.
So then we should be able to draw. And you said every 2 to 3 days if the water is dry,
generally.
correct?
Yep.
I think in this case, guys, you may not need to. You might find it still moist in a couple of days. If your soil's anything like mine, it's like very, very moist. So thankfully we have the water. Oh yeah, see, you can already see there's some water starting to come through the bottom of the pot. So that means that the holes are working. So any excess moisture will start to leak to the bottom. All right.
Wow.
So we have another 10 minutes, guys, left of the program. So now's our chance to talk about what's going to happen after we plant. Okay. So, you know, as I mentioned, you know, for RENA locations, for those of you who are going to be starting your seedlings, chances are you are also part of the, what is it called again? Grow What You Eat or Eat What You Grow?
Yes. Yeah.
Program that RENA is doing. So that means that if you guys participated last year, you would have had those big black containers that were at your location, and then you guys would be responsible with Aki's help to grow your own food, and then you would use that food to make your meals and that kind of thing. I know for some of the individuals at our CR, you know, you guys may not have been part of the actual growing, but you guys were able to enjoy some of the produce that was made. You know, when they had the big, you would come down to the lobby and there would be a whole bunch of produce and you were able to take some. So that's what we're kind of going to. This time, instead of them coming and having it all started for you, we thought it would be great for you guys to start your seedlings from scratch. And then that way you can actually see the whole process right from the beginning. And as time goes on, if you take care of it, you can then transplant it into the bigger containers later on.
That's the idea. So yeah, once around April or May, when it gets a little warmer, the snow's melted, check out your backyards. I'm sure most of your homes have a couple black containers in the backyard.
Yes,
and I'll be coming to every single house. So stay tuned for that. As well as RCR, Lou Fruitman, I'll be there as well. So I'll be out in the backyard. So just come say hi to me.
I have a question for watering plants indoors. Is the best method the water underneath and the roots absorb and it goes up, or are you fine with just pouring water on top?
Both work as long as you like let it drain out. So let's say you do let it absorb from the bottom up. Make sure to like let all the water run out before you put it back into your pot, just because you don't want to let it sit in the water for too long because of the lack of oxygen. Just like humans, plants need oxygen, not just CO2. So as long as it's well aerated, then you're okay with any kind of water.
Aki, what's your advice for taking care of like flowers and stuff? Should we like always check the soil level or?
Yeah, soil level. It's generally if the top of the soil is dry and crumbly, you know it's too dry and it's time to water. Also, try to put it on the south side of your window. That's where you'll get the most sunlight. So you don't want to put it on north side. I mean, east and west is okay as well, but South side is ideal, so that's where you'll get the most sunlight.
Does it
Well,
matter
I
which
didn't
plant though?
use
Like,
it.
does some of them, I guess, take more sun than others?
Yeah, but generally the plants that you guys will be growing will need a lot of
Perfect.
4 to 6 hours of sunlight.
So with that said, in the last couple minutes, where should we keep these little ones to let our seedlings get the best?
You
Because we talked
keep
about
them-
watering.
So somewhere it's probably better somewhere you go by it every day. Maybe like a dining table, just leave it there so you'll see it every day. You could check up on it. Once you notice a little bit of seedlings coming out, even just one, you could bring it out to the window side. You could even, if you have supplemental light, that's even better. But yeah, just window side when you see at least 1 or 2 seedlings popping up the
Perfect.
soil.
Excellent.
How much-
As you're watering
how
it,
much
how much water? Because we know when to check and when to add water,
Have
but
to
how
keep
do we
aware.
know when it's
We
too
have
much
to-
water?
So if you're watering from the top to the bottom, so let's say you have a little hose or whatever, maybe a cup of water is actually enough. Once the water starts coming out of the bottom, then you know it's well watered.
Last question before we finish. So regarding the soil. So if we transplant, if they have to buy their own soil, what is the best soil to purchase? Because we got it from you guys. So you guys have the option.
Any pottery soil, you could get it at Canadian Tire, any nursery gardens.